Hello again. So this is another video. This time this is a video on a grammatical point on more precisely the if clauses. So if clauses mean that we're talking about sentences which starts with if. So these sentences always have two parts. So the first one with the if the government, for example, spends more money on scientific research. And then you've got a second part, and the two parts are separate, usually separated by a comma. So the first part, so for if the government spends more money on scientific research, so this first part, what you do in this first part is you imagine a different reality. So something which is not the reality, but you imagine another situation, and you consider that this situation is real. So in this part, you want to change either the past or the present, and this change of the reality is going to have a consequence, okay, and these consequences are expressed in the second part of the sentence. So here you've got different examples, and we're going to focus especially focus on the verbal groups and the use of grammatical tenses. So here, in the first part, so if the government spends, you've got the simple present. So it means that in this sentence, you want to change the present or the future. And in the second part, you imagine the consequences of this change in the present or the future, and this consequence is going to be in the future. That's why you're using the modal will, which expresses a total certainty about this consequence. Then you've got another example. Second, if I'm a mother, I will take care of my baby. So again, you've got the present, am. So you imagine a new reality. In this reality, you are a mother or father. And you imagine, so you want to change the present or the future, and you imagine the consequence of this new situation in the future with the use of will. So what I want you to focus on is the differences between these two sentences. So it's slightly different, and so there is a slight difference in terms of meaning. So if I was a mother, I would take care of my baby. So in this part, you still want to change the present or the future. You're not changing the past. So it's not because you're using the simple past that you want to change the past. But in this situation, if you use the simple past, it's not the ed of a past in terms of time, but it's this idea of a reality, another situation, a new reality, which is not going to be possible. You imagine that this reality will not be possible. Whereas here, if I am a mother, you imagine that this reality is going to be possible in a new reality. So here, if I was a mother, then if you use the simple past, you need to use the modal would, so which is will plus ed, to continue to express this discrepancy between the reality and your new reality, this fiction. Right, so be careful, okay, in the two sentences you want to change the present or the future, but you don't express the same opinion about this change. In one sentence you think that this change is possible, whereas in the second sentence you think that this change will not be possible. So now you've got two other sentences which are a bit more complex. So here, if they hadn't had Michael, so here in this part of the sentence you want to change the past. That's why you're using the past perfect, which is composed of the auxiliary had and the past participle had, okay, which are the same. And so if they hadn't had Michael, so you imagine a new past, and you imagine the consequence of this new past. So here the consequence of this new past is in the present. So you're going to use would no longer have Elizabeth. So would the modal, okay, plus the verbal base. In this, in the last sentence, so you've got the same beginning. If they hadn't had Michael, so you want to change the past, you imagine a new past, and you imagine the consequences in the past of this new past. So you imagine how the past would have been. So that's why, so you're using a more complex verbal group with the auxiliary and modal would, have, plus the past participle. So be careful here in the two last sentences. In both sentences you want to change the past and you imagine a new past, but in the second part here you imagine a consequence in the present of this new past, whereas here you imagine a consequence in the past of this new past. So I hope it's clear. So be careful to really listen and understand this video and the rules before doing the exercises. I want you to write these sentences in your copybook, and it's going to be it could be good to learn them by heart so that you have a model and you can refer to this model in your head while you're doing exercises. Right, so this is it. See you soon and goodbye.